Let me just thank probably whoa, that's my fault. You're good. You're good. Thank you to the Hagleywood Vampires, Daniel Blore, Terry Hughes, Adam Newbury, David Freyer, Steve Burks. You're all wonderful people.
Someone was saying to me, "You speak posh, you do. Where are you from?" I said, "I'm a Brummie." He said, "Nah, I was born in Birmingham, Handsworth. I've forgotten the name of the hospital. It's not there anymore. Grew up in Nechells, I would say is my formative years. I don't know if you know Nechells. People pass through Nechells. They don't really stay there, and they pass through really quickly because they're afraid. I work for local council. That's the day job as a occupational therapist. I'm a person of faith. I am born again Christian if you need a title. I've always been that. My parents were, they're Christians, and my dad's dead, died in 98. My mom, she'll be 80 next year. I have to go to Jamaica for her 80th birthday. Gosh. Yeah, they sent us to church, even though they didn't go. So brought up in church, myself and my brother. There was only two of us. My dad didn't want a family of 12 like he had, so there's less to go around. So he made sure he had a small family. But you get to your teenage and you drift away from it because you don't believe the stuff. In my case, I got angry at church because it was all hellfire and brimstone. And we used to live near a train station. And every time the train, the horns will go off, I thought it was the last trumpet of the Lord. It was, anyway, I kind of drifted like that feather in the opening credits of Forrest Gump. Don't know if you remember that film. I was just blown from either crisis to crisis, but came back into faith as growing up. Oh, back in the 80s and early 90s, Birmingham, there was a colour bar. It was unofficial, but there was a colour bar, so I gave it trying to get into the nightclubs. And then the nightclubs that I didn't have trouble getting into were they used to have alternative nights, so it'd be either indie music or just heavy rock music. No trouble getting into there, so it's almost like I found a tribe to join. But yeah, music. It's always been there because at school, when they were dishing out the instruments for you to play, they'll give you this test first, I don't know, your aptitude test in music to see if people were tone deaf or had any rhythm. And I scored very high on it. So when they came to offer me an instrument, the only thing that was left was double bass. No one wanted to play double bass. It wasn't cool. Now I realise it was for practical reasons. It's very hard to take home to practice. So, being the only bass player at school, I was in everyone's band because everybody wanted to be the lead singer or the lead guitarist or the drummer. And, no one wanted to be the boring bass player. So I played bass for different bands and for the school orchestra. They used to lend me their records. So that's how I got introduced to Deep Purple and Iron Maiden and Rush and stuff I've never listened to because my dad didn't listen to heavy rock and stuff like that. And I liked it, so I learnt the parts and got into it that way. So yeah, music's all sort of followed me from there. My first gig was the music teacher formed a band out of the pupils who were in the music class. 2 flutes, 2 cellos, me on double bass. I think there was someone on drums. I called us Hot Classics, and we did gigs at community centres or residential homes for elderly. I remember we did a gig at the MAC, Midlands Arts Centre, and I was on the stage, and I fell off the stage with the double bass. It was rather embarrassing. I thought, I'm scaling this down, and that's when I decided to change over to a bass guitar. I still got the bass guitar, my very first bass guitar. I sold it to someone some years ago and I bought it back off him. So my very first bass guitar is called the Ibanez Roadstars. And what's interesting about this is the money I used to pay for this was the money my parents left me to buy an air ticket if I chose to go to Jamaica with them. And rather than going to Jamaica with them and spend the money on the air ticket, I brought a bass guitar. That was me telling, no, I don't want to go. They gave me the choice. I think I was 15 or 16 coming on there. I had Debbie singing with me, but I'm not. No, I haven't got a song. I am working towards doing a 3-song set at one of the evenings. The people who play are inspiring me to do it, and it's a safe space to do it. Even if you balls up, people aren't going to start booing and laughing at you and dragging you off with a shepherd's crook. It's not live at the Apollo where he's vicious and you chicken wire. It's a safe space, so I am going to do it. I am going to have 3 self-penned songs which I'm going to play. But gosh, it could have been so different. What if I brought an air ticket instead and went to Jamaica?
Before we do that one,
Too soon.
Manny,
Too soon.
I think we should do one that's a little bit darker than that. So, come on lads. You can't come here to practice, knock it on the head. Okay.
I can print them off in various colours, and people can customise them, customise the t-shirts by cutting the sleeves off, making them capped, making those t-shirts capped, or put bullet holes in them. I've seen metal bands customise their t-shirts, but most of the t-shirts I've given them to people, or people who ask me for, they've ended up using them as pyjamas. They wear them in bed. They don't wear them to gigs, like they said they were going to. Because, so I tend to, I wear them. I may do mugs, give them away as gifts. I do a quiz during the covers, because I do like covers when they're done really well and they're interesting.
Good evening. I'd like to say I could see you, but I'm blinded by the light.
No covers.
Oh.
And I have some really rare finds of cover versions I didn't realise was a cover version until I found the original artists and stuff. I'll do it as a quiz, and I could give away t-shirts as a prize, or something more substantial if subscription works. Let's see. My musical influences, I'll say, would have come from my parents to start with. Just listening to what they had in their record collection. Most of it was varied from ska and blue beat and reggae music, and they had religious music, which my dad used to call, well, I thought he was saying secret records. It was all this sacred, but no, he meant sacred. It was just the Jamaican patois speaking. It's sacred records. And it would be, so this religious music would be Jim Reeves. I think they had something by Elvis. What is it? Well, I heard me cry in the chapel. This is why I don't sing. But so I used to listen to their music. And the first record I brought, I think I was probably 7 or 8 at the time. My dad took me to Don Christie's and told me to choose something. I think he wanted to know what I would buy. And I brought a song, what was it called? No Gesturing by Carl Malcolm. That was my first vinyl. That was good. The soul music at the time came in the form of the 3 Degrees and Earth, Wind and Fire. And what used to come on Thursday evenings on Top of the Pops, which, gosh, I don't know if people remember that anymore. Music from the 60s, which was interesting. Things like The Animals, House of the Rising Sun. That was the first song we played in school as a band. And something by Thin Lizzy, Walking in the Moonlight. So you got a nice bass part. Doom ba doo ba doom, doom ba doo ba doom, doom doom ba doom doom. So I played that on double bass. From reggae to funk, punk. I've been to Donington back in the 80s. Donington Park. It used to be the Monsters of Rock. I've seen who was headlining. Bon Jovi was headlining one time, but I saw them when they were lower down in the pecking order, and they were just one of the smaller bands. Even Metallica, I saw them before they broke big at Donington Park. Ride the Lightning. I think that was my first that I paid for rock album. I enjoy music on lots of levels. I can sometimes just listen to the lyrics and listen to people's stories and be moved by that. There's a song by Susan Vega, great storyteller, but the Queen and the Soldier. Just the lyrics, or sometimes it could be the production. Frankie Goes to Hollywood, Relax, fantastic production. Trevor Horn, the producer. It sounds so different when you just hear them live without the production. Sometimes it's just the sheer energy of certain bands. The level of musicianship of the virtuosos. In terms of guitarists, I would say for me, it's probably Jimi Hendrix and the other end of the spectrum, maybe Steve Vai, and the way as virtuosos can play.
Thank you. It's so weird to be in a Friday night sort of party crowd. I make my living singing Club Tropicana at Drunk Strangers normally. It's so weird to have an opportunity to play my own music rather than if I sang Hey Jude now, you'll all go mental, you know? It's really hard to try and, hey, let me educate you on a Friday night, when you're thinking, no, just let me have some of the music I know. So thanks to Manny for putting nights like this on where musicians get an opportunity to be themselves.
Okay, so there was an artist who came up, she was a solo singer, and she put on the floor, she had this kind of scarf, or it was I think it was a meter square, maybe a bit less, and she put it down on the floor and she stood on top of it and she started singing, and I thought, wow, that looks so great. And I don't know if she did it to and get some kind of vibe, it was just part of her image, standing on this sort of psychedelic and scarf. I thought, that's great. Rather than looking at tiles or wooden flooring, laminated flooring, have a logo. Initially, it was going to be used as the mat, non-slip mat for the drummer. But no, it works better as just a bit of advertising. So you get to a certain age where you have a bit more disposable income. And some people, they're into their cars or they throw their souls into their work. And I get energized by hearing people's music and the passion they put into it. Being in bands before, so I had stuff. I was the one who ended up with the PA from when the band split up. So I had a PA, and Tony used to come out at birthday parties playing the music. And I had my own instruments, bass guitars, and I used to go busking with acoustic guitar. So I had gear around me. And aspiring to be a songwriter. Debbie told me that I should go along to this course that was at the MAC, a songwriting circle. So I went along there. And the conversations about their experiences about songwriting and playing their music is how they had to sneak it in between their covers at open mics, and I wish they didn't have to do that, and be apologetic like, oh, this one I wrote myself. sorry, and just play it. And I wish they can just play it at places where they'll welcome it. And Debbie said, my wife, like a no covers club. And the light bulb went on. And I just ran with the idea. I Googled what was the most covered song on record. And at the time, what came up first was Eleanor Rigby by the Beatles. I think right now, if I was to Google it now, it will be Yesterday. But I saw Eleanor Rigby first. Then I downloaded an image, printed it off. Then in a large green felted pen, I wrote "no covers" over the top of it. I said, that will make a great logo. So I took it to a printer. I don't know if they're still running, Minuteman. And I told them my idea, Sex Pistols, and the TV show Never Mind the Buzzcocks. And he showed me the font that was on the lettering for Never Mind the Bollocks, Here Comes the Sex Pistols. And he wrote no covers in that kind of font. And I said, oh, that works. And because I didn't want to be sued by Atlantic Records for using their logo, I had to change it up. So instead of Atlantic, it's called Atlantia. And instead of Eleanor Rigby, if we took off those, it says Eleanor Rugby, actually. And it doesn't say Aretha Franklin, it says Aretha Franks. But so that's the logo. But the need to find somewhere where we can play our own music. And again, it was an evening out for me to do it. I had the gear, I had the desire somewhere to play original music. And just went looking for a pub that wouldn't mind doing it. In the first place was the bar manager at the Patrick Kavanagh in Moseley. They had a function room upstairs. They didn't mind us using it for free because it's extra football on a quiet day they would have had. So it was midweek. So the first evening was Valentine's Day, 2017. That was the first one we put on. Very well attended because I titled it The Antidote to Valentine's Day. So people have to bring their love gone wrong songs or anything they like, as long as it was original. And it was excellent, well turned out, lots of original music. And I was buzzing off that. And so that's where the addiction to, I've got to keep this going. And one day I'll do my three songs. But through that time, there is an ulterior motive for doing it, because I had friends, being a person of faith, who were Christians, who were songwriters as well. And they wrote songs which it's not that they couldn't play at church, but a similar thing. People weren't interested in their songs. Even they don't mind them giving their testimonies, but not in song. And in essence, when they play on Sunday mornings, they are playing covers because we're playing other people's worship music. So they wanted space to play their own music as well, and someone to listen to it. I can't get my secular friends to come to church, and they can get there. There was that problem. I couldn't get some of my Christian friends to come to some gigs. They're not going to come and see Metallica. They think it's devil music. Anyway, but they'll come to an evening where they're playing their own music, both sides, secular and Christian. And so that's the idea. We be respectful, listen to it, but no one waters down anything, whether they could be agnostic or atheist or Bible bashing Christians. As long as you don't disrespect each other, play what you like. It's the conversations between the music, I think, which was good. People ask, well, why did you write that? Or they can relate to it. Either way, great saints and great sinners are cut from the same cloth.
Sitting here all alone, I feel the breeze through my bones. The game wasn't over, it all went just out to the top. I won't be deceived, I want it back out. I won't be deceived, I want it back out. Power. Behind
ancestor when I get old. I'm gonna tell my ancestors.
There's a man at the top of the world and he talks to God. If I had a bike.
This, I would hope, if I had a vision for this, is to have somewhere there where a community can grow, where they can network, talk about their music, talk about ideas, signpost each other to places where to get help, funding, an audience. It's a safe space where they can try out their stuff and then they're not going to be ridiculed or laughed at, but encouraged. And I encourage people to talk to each other between the music and network and share stuff, encourage each other. Some people have even formed bands. The songwriting course I went on, that very much was about collaboration and networking. And I suppose I took that on. If anyone's interested, I don't know if he does it anymore. It used to be run by Dan Whitehouse, who's a very brilliant singer-songwriter. He's on tour now. So I'd love to have somewhere, maybe alternate to our own South Birmingham CBGB's. Are you old enough to remember that? CBGB's was the club in New York where famous bands like Blondie and the sort of grassroots grew from there, even though it didn't start out that way. CBGB's, I think he wanted it to be country, bluegrass and folk music. But bands who just wanted to do their own stuff used to go there and used to let them play, and it grew from there. I'd love that to happen in South Birmingham, where you can go, you play your own music and be appreciated, and you can network and grow into a safe space and enjoyable. And it's mobile. I could make this mobile. So if someone wished there was original music evening in where they live, so they didn't have to travel for an hour to go somewhere, we can come to you. Roll up my logo carpet, my banner, portable PA setup, and go for it. If there's people who want original music in your neck of the woods, we'll travel. Some people now are coming from further afield. Staffordshire and Northampton, I want to cover their petrol. I don't want them to come and be out of pocket. Original music is a hard sell. And that's why cover bands, it generates their income for them. But I don't know if it feeds the soul. Not like you playing your own music and telling your own story.
If you feel like dancing, dance, and I will dance with you. And if you feel like rest, you rest with me.
And thank you for supporting original live music. Let's do this again.